Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Ah, ye of little faith. I'll tell you, when I went into overtime, I was like, oh no, they're going to lose. God, I just love how they put me out of my misery and into elation and joy so quickly. So, we're 2 up, guys. 2 games away from bringing that cup back. And the cup is fun. I love what hockey does with its trophy. I just love it. God knows where that thing's been and what it's been through. I mean, I know of some stories, but I love it. Anyway, can't get ahead of ourselves here, but it's unbelievable. I mean, it's just a real no one ever, even at the beginning of the season before they look so horrible, could imagine this. What do you mean? This isn't a sports talk show? Oh, okay, dang. So, I have to tell you that I read something the other day that just freaked me out. I wasn't even able to talk about it yesterday because it's so upsetting. But then I decided I am going to talk about it. I don't know how upsetting it is, but it is upsetting. Anything having to do with this upsets me. And what I'm talking about is, and I can't call him it, my dolphin friend. There's not a person out there who hasn't heard my story, my dolphin story of swimming at the Pittsburgh Zoo with the dolphin there. A magnificent animal. And how I was stunned when what seemed to be a wonderful occurrence, swimming, holding on to his back and being dragged faster and faster through the water. It was so unbelievable. But then it went awry. And it turns out, I'm going to cut to the chase here just in case. It turns out he was aroused and in an effort to have at me, as it were, I ended up sort of slammed against the side of the pool, and with the dolphin coming at me, and I found myself literally flying through the air, and that was the result of the zoo employee on the scene who raced in and grabbed me under my armpits and just tossed me out of the pool. So, imagine my astonishment when, I think it was 2 days ago, I'm reading a story about the gorilla in the Cincinnati Zoo. And it's written by a Pittsburgh reporter. So it's a local story. And at the time, the Pittsburgh Zoo was not willing to talk about what happened in Cincinnati. And so they told this reporter, "We are not making any comments regarding this story." They have since, but they were not then. And so the poor reporter, whose job it was to see if this is normal practice, what happened in Cincinnati, what would have happened here at the Pittsburgh Zoo. The Pittsburgh Zoo wouldn't help him at all. So he, because he has to do a story, starts looking into events that have occurred at the Pittsburgh Zoo and how those events were handled. And it is obviously the very, very big one is the child who was killed. Gosh, that wasn't too long ago, was it? It was just about 4 years ago. The child who, 2-year-old, whose mother was holding him up so he could see the painted dogs in their habitat. And this is even, still to my mind, I can't quite understand what happened. That child, somehow she lost control and the child fell in to the painted dog exhibit. And, this was a pack of wild dogs. And the child was killed by the dogs. I think 2 or 3 of the dogs were killed by zookeepers trying to get to the kid. That was the most horrific. But there have been others involving the elephants, a keeper. I think a keeper was an elephant keeper killed? Yeah. And the elephant butted him and then continued to just, after he was on the ground, continued to push on him until he was dead. Now here's my, I had also, as a reporter, been set free with the elephants. And I've got video of me, standing there in the field with these elephants. And the only thing that happened to me is I did get hit in the head with one of their trunks, but that was because I was standing under the trunk trying to feed him, and the trunk came down on my head, and those things are heavy. I saw stars. But later, after I'd had so much fun doing that, I did find out that elephants can be very, you don't know. By virtue of their size, even their keepers, who they seem to like and have long-standing relationships, can all of a sudden there's a turn or a something, or they're startled. And I was thinking, you know what? I should not have been allowed in that. I was so stupid that I didn't realize I was at risk. This was just like, oh, wow. Same way I felt about being able to go into that dolphins environment. It was just too exciting for me to think. But that's where the zoo is supposed to be thinking. And I suspect both things that I did, and this would have been in the 1980s, both things that I was allowed to do, I don't think would happen today. That's my guess. But in this litany, what I want to get to is that in this litany of what has gone wrong at the Pittsburgh Zoo over the years, all of a sudden I'm reading this. In March 1990, Chuckles, an Amazon River dolphin, bit the finger of a zoo volunteer who was giving him a sponge bath. It was not an isolated incident. Chuckles bit trainers, a zoo volunteer, and at least 3 Aqua Zoo visitors during his 32 years at the zoo. In one case, in 1996, Chuckles bit a woman who ignored zoo rules and pulled back a screen to pet him. Her companion struck the dolphin with an umbrella until he released the woman's bleeding hand. Chuckles died in 2002 at the age of 34. Excuse me for sniffing. I'm sorry. Wow. So now all of those attacks on people by Chuckles came after my swim with him. But after my swim, I did find out that he had, in fact, had an encounter with a woman before me who had been sexually pleasuring him, apparently, which is what made him think that I was there for that purpose. And also, I have since met somebody who, as part of a research experiment with one of the colleges here, some guy was doing something about sonar and dolphin sonar, and how he was in the pool with Chuckles, and Chuckles got him with his sonar. Who knew he just zapped him in the back like an electrical. So, boy, I'll tell you, ignorance is bliss. I mean, if I had known that this animal had a history, although maybe he didn't have a history, because, as I said, I predated by at least 4 years the first bite, that is. But after what happened to me, I think they really prevented him from having contact. And he was in solitary in this little, it's brutal. I'd bite people too. So there, I'm reading the paper, and all of a sudden Chuckles comes back to me like this, and I did not know of these. He got lots of teeth. Them dolphins got lots of teeth. Little teeny. They look teeny, but I'm sure they're very sad. So I was also shocked to see that the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette editorialized on the death of the gorilla in Cincinnati, and actually say their editorial says that he should not have been killed. So who are the animal experts over at the PG who wrote this? I have only seen one little snippet of video from it because I can't bear to look. But I finally saw the little boy sitting there near the moat, and the gorilla's like in front of him. And then all of a sudden the gorilla grabs him by the leg and just, runs with him. Now, the gorilla was not exhibiting any aggressive behavior toward the boy. In fact, he was exhibiting protective behavior toward the boy. Those who see the video will say that because over their heads people are screaming and yelling, that the gorilla, understandably, might want to get the kid away from this whatever the heck is going on, and he can't, so got him out of there. I don't know how you can second guess this. I don't know. It is so sad. Thank God this child is fine. He's going to be okay. Although I hope they get him some therapy. I mean, what an event. At that age, I wonder how it'll stick in his head. Because how many memories do you have from the age of 3? Not a lot. But this one would have some serious staying power. And somebody said to me the other day, it's sort of like King Kong. Yeah? King Kong meant no harm to that woman. In fact, he was trying to protect her. Same kind of a thing. But we set ourselves up for these kinds of tragedies and accidents by way of continuing to think that zoos, as they are currently constituted, are a good idea. I don't know if they are. I don't know if they are. It'd be an interesting conversation to have. But the PG calls, they should have been tranquilized. Well, and even like Barbara Baker, the head of the Pittsburgh Zoo now, is speaking out, and she flat out says, no, can't do a tranquilizer gun in that situation, because first of all, it takes too long for it to take effect. I don't know. And I will return to, if there's any blame, it is clear that that barrier was not good enough. Clearly. If a 3-year-old could get around it, nah. So the PG's calling for the zoo director to be fired and, all that. And every zoo director in the country that has been interviewed said they would have done the same thing. Just sad. And sometimes there's no, the word that we like to use, closure. We can't close off this one by blaming somebody like the zoo director or, the mother or somebody and sort of feel that some measure of punishment has been meted out. None of it will change anything. But I do wonder about zoos. There are other ways, with all the preservation work they do, that can all be done without the public zoo kind of experience. It seems like we're the problem here. That the animals have to be kept in situations where we can enjoy them. If they could be just left to roam in relatively natural settings without being gawked at, it might be better for them. And you could still have all the preservation programs. I don't know. It breaks my heart, that magnificent animal. Okay. So, just had to. Well, that's a good question, William. William writes, do you suppose any of Chuckles' behavior was due to his not liking the fact that they named him Chuckles? I'll tell you what. If I were a magnificent animal like him and some dolt who had captured me and my significant other, and then after she died, did not find any other dolphin to spend life in solitary confinement with me, and on top of it, they dubbed me this clownish, ridiculous name that no more belongs on an animal like me, a magnificent species. Yeah. I'll tell you, if he did know his name was Chuckles, he might have been really pissed off. But he was pissed off for plenty of other reasons. And not only pissed off, but psychologically damaged. You can't spend your life, if you're a wild animal swimming around in a little pool by yourself when these are species that mate for life? And they're not solitary animals? Yuck. Margie, I try to parse these things you keep throwing out. First one of the day is you need a boyfriend. What brought that on? I think that came in when I was talking about hockey. I don't need a boyfriend. The dolphin? Well, I said at the time, and I was a young woman in my 30s when Chuckles and I had I said at the time it was the most sensual experience I had had in a hell of a long time. It was true. And I must say somewhat flattering, too, to be found so attractive by such a strong, beautiful male of the species. And then Margie says, just think if you were an elephant, but when you get... Well, elephants, God, they're intelligent as hell, too. We shouldn't be doing these things to these animals. There's got to be a better way of securing them from us. The reason there are zoos, I guess now, most of the time, is to make some effort, even in an unnatural situation, to keep a few representative samples of these glorious beasts alive. Because in their natural habitats, they're disappearing because of everybody, us. We marauding, pillaging, destructive, selfish, stupid Homo sapiens. And still on the animal front, let's get to the eagle. The eagle. Did you see this wondrous story? Here's a thing where an animal is being used by us to protect us, which we do all the time, which I guess puts them in danger, right? Police dogs, military dogs, you name it. But this is an instance where an animal still gets to do what it's meant to do, but it's just slightly altered to benefit us. And of course, they do have to be trained. But I love this idea. This is happening in Holland right now, the early stages of it, but other countries have already said that looks promising and like something we might want to employ. And it is the use of eagles. To protect us from drones. An eagle, as you know, is a fearsome predator who can take an animal, another bird, bang, right? Pew! And so, because drones, again, drones have created a lot of safety concerns around airports and a number of airports. I mean, it's a rare airport that hasn't had at least one report of a pilot coming in for a landing and a drone come zipping by them. As far as I know, no drone has hit a plane yet. It's not known whether it could take it down. I suppose if it hit it in the wrong place, possible. But pilots have consistently been, and including at the airport that you fly into in Amsterdam. So these bird trainers have trained a bunch of eagles, and there's a picture of one snatching midair a drone. He's just got it. So there's a drone, and the drone is big. I mean, it's not quite as big as the eagle with its wingspan, but here's how the reporter writes it, and I think it's pretty well done. Its wings beating against a gathering breeze, the eagle moves gracefully through the cloudy sky, then swoops, talons outstretched, on its prey below. The target, however, is not another bird, but a small drone, and when the eagle connects, there is a metallic clunk with the device in its grasp. The bird returns to the ground. So, eagles are quite capable of doing this and patrolling the air around airports or stadiums, other facilities where there are concerns, because drones could be armed. Now, again, when we employ animals, we often put them in harm's way. And a drone has blades that are zzz. So what's to keep the animal, the eagle, from being harmed? And they have said that they are already manufacturing like little talon protectors that would be placed over the bird's talons, not the top of them, to give them more protection and covering, some kind of a glove-like sheath of some sort. And as far as they know, that's the only danger to the eagle, is that one of the blades could get it. I don't know. It's working. The eagles are doing it. It's apparently not that difficult to train them to do. And other methods have been tried to deal with this drone menace. They've tried jamming signals. They've tried capturing drones in nets that are fired by defender drones. And they've tried shooting them out of the sky, all this kind of stuff. The eagle seems like a great idea here, but there you go. We're always using animals. Always using them. Yeah. Henry says, we sure spent a lot of time over the years talking about chuckles. Well, what are we going to do, Henry, when it's like literally the high point of my love life? I mean, I might be old and over the hill, but I have my memories. Hello, young lovers, wherever you are. Yes, I've had a love of my own like yours. I've had a love of my own. All right, she's singing. She's talking about chuckles. Time to, okay, run for the hills. Timothy has sent me a BBC story, and I guess this is also about the problem of drones, and this being, I think it was a near miss at Heathrow. For some reason, this isn't coming up. So, but I've read a number of these accounts, and in some instances, eagles are being used around airports to take out the birds that fly into the one that almost took down, Sullenberger's plane, to prey on the birds that hang out around the airport and also endanger planes by potentially being sucked into the engines. Well, here is a story about a plane approaching Heathrow was hit by a drone before landing. They're unsure. The pilot says, I think it was a drone, but I got hit. Believed to be the first incident of its kind in the UK. But see, this is a real problem. And I don't know. I don't know what we in the United States are doing, if there's any generalized policy by the FAA, or if it's every airport for itself. I don't know. I must say, if I were running for president of the United States and my name was Trump, I would not want to see a headline like this in the paper. North Korea applauds Trump. They love him. There have been editorials in their paper about what a good guy this is. This one, they're applauding him because of his bombastic threat to take American troops out of South Korea. Oh, man. The more I've been thinking about it, the more I think there's no way Trump can pull this off. But then on the other hand, I think, don't think that! The minute you think it, you're letting your guard down. And I'm going to go with that. But when you look at all the Republicans who won't go near Cleveland in July, who will not be caught dead, it's like half the Senate. Almost every senator is running for re-election. And the funniest part this is in Cleveland, Ohio. Kasich, the governor of Ohio, a Republican, has not committed to stepping foot inside that convention. Nor has one of their senators. He said, Rob Portman, I'll tell you what, I think I've got other plans for that week. Well, so much of this campaign has never happened before. So you got John Kasich, the governor of Ohio, Republican, and Senator Rob Portman from Ohio, Republican, refusing to go to the Republican convention that happens to be taking place in their very own state. Wow. You've got delegates from around the country who have gone to every Republican convention since they could and have been active, obviously, very active in Republican politics. And they're turning in their credentials as delegates, saying, I cannot in good conscience have anything to do with this. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, if Trump becomes president, I'm moving to Sweden.
Well, I keep saying that if Trump's president, there's no safe place in the world.
True too. But we'll see how stupid the American people are. They were stupid before with Bush. We'll see how stupid they are this time.
This is different.
This might top the...
Oh, yeah, this is different.
On this.
I refuse to believe if he, I don't know. I'm so frightened by the possibility of him winning would say something about us, which is so unpalatable and so difficult to accept that I don't know what my reaction will be. I'll feel shame, humiliation, fear. Like, where am I? What country is this? I will really be, and I won't be alone. I don't know. But we have got to work mightily to ensure that this does not happen. You don't want to learn Swedish.
Nah. Chances are Trump will get the House back. Or, the Senate back. So...
We'll see. I wouldn't get I don't.
That's true. You can't get ahead of yourself.
Well, I noticed that, you look at some of these the senators who are potentially in trouble, the Republicans, and they're not going. Although I think Toomey is that Toomey spoken up? Because he's one of the vulnerable ones. Although he'd be a lot more vulnerable if we had gotten somebody other than McGinty that the establishment wanted to take him out. But in my home state of Wisconsin, one of these, right-wingers, a guy named Johnson, he isn't going anywhere near that convention because he's up against a former senator who's very liberal, not Feinstein. What the hell's his name? All of a sudden I can't think. But he's not going, and when asked if it had anything to do with Trump, he says in this article, he broke into a big grin and said, "Oh, of course not." Yeah. Feingold. He's running against Feingold.
Yeah.
And Feingold is ahead in the polls right now, but again, polls don't mean nothing at this point. I haven't seen polls with McGinty and Trump, but that's going to be a squeaker here. Pennsylvania is a scary state this time around. We got a lot of Trump people here.
But you have ones, too, is like free trade, too. So that's going to kind of he's going to have to play to both of them. That's anything else.
Well, more and more I'm seeing that people just see and hear what they want to see and hear, right?
But the guy changes his mind on
Yeah, well, that might get him in the end. I mean, once the attack ads start with he said this, then he said that, then he said this, then he said that, and all the lawsuits and all the this and the that. I mean, this guy, he's an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, he's terrible.
Okay, well, we agree, but a lot of good that does us.
Yeah, I just been watching him. He's a clown.
He's a clown.
He is. He's terrible.
Dangerous clown. Let's name him Chuckles.
That's what he should be called.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Roger writes what? I was thinking of shooting the gorilla with a tranquilizer too, but understand we need to do everything for the child's safety. I mean, you can't. You cannot predict what the animal will do. All the screaming and craziness going on would have unsettled the gorilla as well. No. Jeez. Roger goes on to say, watching Bill Maher last Friday. Oh, yes! Thank you for reminding me about this. On Maher's show, he had the cartoonist, the creator of Dilbert, which is the cartoon about an office worker, a guy, cubicle worker. I don't read it, but this guy's name is Scott Adams. And oh my God, was he interesting and smart. And what he was talking about, he clearly knows about psychology. I'm sure he uses it in his strip. How you get people's attention, how you retain the attention, he was so smart, and Roger's saying he scared the shit out of me. I wish I could remember some of what he said, but he talked a lot about the very kind of thing I have skirted around when I compare Trump and his strategies to Goebbels and the Nazis. The big lie, the repetition of the lie, the more outrageous the lie, the mastery of mass psychology and how to attract people and hold them. And this Scott Adams, check that out. It was brilliant. The rest of the panel was a bunch of jerks. This was worth listening to. I'll go back to Roger here. Sorry, Roger. But thank you. I had wanted to mention that. And what he was doing is he was explaining why Donald Trump is winning. And was he this clear? Why he thinks he will win the presidency? Jeez, I don't remember him quite saying that. But He says Trump's use of words in putting down his opponents. That's right. You repeat a lie 3 times. The thing of crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary. And what happens in our brains, even those of us who are going to vote for her, that is in there now. Crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary. So a news article comes out and says she was not honest about the email thing. She said this when in fact, and in your brain it triggers crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary. So he plants these ideas. I forget the term that Scott Adams used, but there's a psychological term for then when we hear something in which Hillary looks less than forthright, your brain just says, yeah, crooked Hillary. When you see, when questioned, how Americans now rate her in terms of her honesty, her trustworthiness, I mean, there's like 3 people left who think she's honest. If you think Donald Trump's crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary, crooked Hillary has not had a lot to do with that, despite Hillary's own, screwing up left and right. Right. When it comes to lying, though, she does not hold a candle to Trump. His statements have now been looked at in an average speech. He lies over 70% of the time. Some are a little bit off. Some are just flat out unbelievable lies. Some have maybe a slight grain of truth to them. But mostly this guy just spits out whatever he wants to. But she's not calling him Lion Donald. Might not be a bad idea to do it. It worked for him. It worked on low energy Jeb. Low energy Jeb. And I actually, every time I saw Jeb Bush, ever since he started the low energy, that's what I thought. Low energy. He's right. Trump was right. He looked to not have energy. I'm sure he did, but he looked. Little Mario, whatever. Lion Ted. This works. And Scott Adams was so smart about explaining it. Back to Roger. He explained that humans are not rational beings and that we make decisions subconsciously and emotionally. Marco, I keep saying Mario. Little Marco, Lion Ted, crooked Hillary. Adam says those are very well thought out, constructed phrases, planned and well used and effective. We have a call. Hello.
Hi, Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn. Hi, Bree calling from Dubai.
Oh, hi, Bree.
Hi. I haven't listened to that particular Bill Maher show. I usually do. I get it on a podcast, so I listen later. But the term might be, in media, we say framing. If you frame someone that way,
yeah,
and then it sticks. Al Gore invented the internet.
Right.
And
right.
There's a bunch of examples.
Right.
So when you think of that person, if it matches with the frame that's been set up,
that's right.
Then it will spiral into that. So that's in media. It's not necessarily in psych.
Yeah, that is not that. Well, I can tell you that's not the word. It was, I think, 2-word phrase, but you're right. Framing says it as well. But there's some kind of a psychological thing where your brain, if it hears this thing like 3 times, you're finished.
Like an earworm.
Yeah.
Yeah, of some sort.
It's amazing. Okay. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
we had there was a guy over here from the University of Maryland. I should, put you in touch with him. He came over and gave a talk about the U.S. election, and the folks who invited him were very eager to learn about foreign policy. And he basically said, well, I can tell you what I know about Hillary Clinton, but I can't tell you about Donald Trump because he's too vague and misleading. He said he cannot. So when he was asked certain questions, he just said, "Well, we don't know."
Well, I think this reminds me of something. I didn't read the article, but I saw a headline, something about how Stephen Hawking said something about Trump, in which he essentially said, "I understand a lot of things, but I don't understand this."
I saw that too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very interesting.
Very interesting.
Okay.
Hey, thank you.
Well,
thank
take
you.
care.
Bye, Bree. Bye-bye. Well, that is our first call from Dubai. And actually, it came through louder and clearer than it does when you're calling from Wilmerding. Go figure. Finishing Roger's email, while I don't completely buy into what Adam says, it does make sense and explains his support, Trump supporters, even though it doesn't speak well of their intelligence. However, he says it's true. We make decisions based on irrationality. I mean, we think, I'm going to sit down and carefully consider. We do it irrationally and emotionally. But you have to be careful about labeling his supporters stupid, as it's only going to push them further towards him. And, and it's true. And they'll be able to say, you're just an elitist liberal. Yeah. And there are plenty of those around, too. Reminds me a little of what happened when W. Bush was running. Yeah, you got to be careful. Anyway, I better try not to sneeze here. And just back to the Republican convention, Trump's convention, which I've already said months ago will be a show. Oh, I am going to sneeze. I always said you never sneeze on the air, and I'm going to... I want to thank Celine for turning down the volume, as my sneezes are, like decibel level is off the charts. There could be more. So, this has never happened before either. John McCain will be joining 4 of the last 5 living former Republican nominees in refusing to attend this convention. Who's the one that's going? Romney won't go. McCain won't go. Bush won't go. Bush won't go. Is that 4? Well, who's the 5th? Help me here. You guys are smarter than me. Somebody's going. Four out of 5 of their former nominees will not attend. That's amazing. So, the Republicans can say they're falling in line behind him and they're unified and all that stuff, but I think the facts would beg to differ. And Trump, the businessman, he's already getting hurt. The PGA Tour has, for years, used one of his facilities in Florida. The World Golf Championships Cadillac Championship at Doral, the Blue Monster course. That's Trump. They're pulling out. And the brilliance of what they've done is so great. They're not only taking this thing away from Trump, they're putting it in Mexico. I love it. And here's what the head of the tour, the PGA Tour, said. Look, this is not about politics, but Donald Trump is a brand. A big brand. And when you're asking a company, somebody else, to invest millions of dollars in branding a tournament or being associated with a tournament, they're going to be sharing their brand with his brand. And they couldn't find anyone who was willing to do it. So they decamped, not because of what Trump represents, kinda, but because what he represents is so anathema to so many in the corporate world, they don't want to have anything to do with Trump. So they're moving it to Mexico City. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Trump said to this, oh, they're moving it to Mexico City? I hope they have kidnapping insurance. What a... Sorry. Muttering. What? Beth is saying Doyle is not going? Doyle? What do you mean? Mike Doyle? He's a Democrat. Oh, Dole! You wrote Doyle. Dole. And you're saying Dole is not going either? Okay, well, who is? Who are we forgetting? What? I don't know. Thank you. Okay, yeah, Mike and Philly said Bob Dole. Okay, but no, I don't know if Dole's going or not, but he might be. Yes. Hi, caller.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike from D.C.
Hi.
This branding issue is an interesting phenomenon because I think it's not a democracy but a plutocracy. And so we have all of these corporations who refuse to support this guy.
Yeah.
Coca-Cola, HP, somebody else really big, I just read the other day, are pulling out of supporting the convention.
Yeah, they're having trouble getting the usual folks to underwrite the Republican convention. Yes.
And nobody wants to be linked with him.
Right.
Everybody's a brand. George Bush is a brand. Jeb is a brand. And I think you may have misread the article. The one I read said that John McCain is the only one of the five that's going.
No, the New York Times said today that he said, I'm not going. I'm in a very tough race.
Oh, yeah, because I heard before that he said he was going to go. But so nobody wants to be linked with that brand. And so maybe the plutocracy will save us. Maybe instead of a democracy, we are, maybe the fact that we have to spend money and we are not citizens, but, God, I can't talk today.
Oh, man, I know that
maybe
affliction.
That will save us.
Yeah. Maybe. Let's hope. I would like to think that our own good sense might save us.
Well, it would be interesting if it saved us because the Republicans have pushed fear
as
their main weapon for all these years.
Yeah.
Now, if that fear comes back to bite them because everybody's afraid to be linked with Trump, it would be ironic, to say the least.
Right. Well, I suspect that's too loud. I suspect the guy who's going is Dole. You're all writing in Dole.
Dole, yeah, I think you are right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a holdout, if he lives that long.
Well, he's still alive. So, wow. I hear you. Thank you.
Sure.
As usual. Thank you, Mike. Bye. Laura writes, I don't think Hillary is crooked, just not totally honest. Right. I mean, there's a smarminess there, and there's a sort of thinking that she's used to lying. She's a politician. They lie. That's why, I thought it was funny that senator from Wisconsin, when asked, so you're not going to the convention? Does this have anything to do with Donald Trump by any chance? And the reporter said, he smiled broadly and said, oh, no, not at all. What he was doing is saying, here I am, a politician. I am about to lie to you, and I'm smiling while I'm doing it. No, they lie. Personally, who doesn't lie? Can I have a show of hands? Who doesn't sometimes exaggerate things? Show of hands. Who misspeaks on occasion? Show of hands. Yeah, Hillary, yeah. And I think she was harmed in many ways by her 8 years in that White House, where she was under such brutal attack, and actually prior to it. She does not trust the press. She tends not to be forthcoming with information because she had to hunker down for a long time. I mean, whatever. There's plenty I'm not wild about with Hillary Clinton, but there's one thing I know. You would be hard-pressed to find anybody who is more able to do that job from day one. Walk in, have it. And frankly, we could use somebody who knows what they're doing in that White House, huh? Huh? Donald Trump? Are you kidding? He'd make a bull in a china shop look like a prima ballerina. Hello?
Hi, it's Susie from Swiss Home Park.
Hi, Susie.
I think that Donald Trump's line about, the golf tournament and moving it to Mexico, and I hope they have kidnapping insurance down there, is one of the many, 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 many reasons that he should not be president. I mean, just think about those offhanded lines being said to any world politician in any country. Could you just imagine what kind of offhanded lines he could say to anybody in any country?
Oh, dear. It's mind-blowing. And since every word that a president utters, is a potential bombshell someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this guy, he will make such a mess. It is hard to even imagine it, really.
Yeah. And how, in one country, certain words might mean one thing and certain words might mean another thing.
Right.
And things just fall out of his mouth, and he doesn't think.
No, I mean, there was one sentence we found a few weeks ago in which he actually contradicted himself in one sentence. I'm against guns in school, but I think teachers should have guns.
Yeah. God.
Yeah, right. So what are we going to do with that? Yeah, this guy is, I am every bit as capable of being president of the United States as he.
That says my dog.
Yes, your dog.
She's an 8-year-old pitbull.
Aw.
She's a pretty crappy watchdog, and she's.
Well, we want a strong defense. So that dog's out. That dog is out. Hey, thanks for the call.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Here's, Morning Joe. I think I heard this correctly. Joe Scarborough's discussed Trump's desire to commit political suicide this morning due to his recent craziness, suggesting that he does not want to win. Okay, now that's interesting because somebody else said something to that effect. Trump now is starting to see what the next 6 months are going to be. And we haven't even joined the battle. I mean, these conventions have not picked their people yet. And so here you have it. Somehow on Morning Joe today, they were saying, I wonder if he's decided to make himself, or setting the stage for him to pull out. I would not be surprised. Don't be surprised by that. If he gets to a point, I mean, how long till the convention? It's a month. a little more than a month. I would not be surprised if after 3-4 weeks of heavy-duty attention from the media that he doesn't say, I don't need this, my family doesn't need this, sorry to disappoint all you babes, but no, I'm not going to do this, goodbye. It could happen. Because I'll tell you another thing. Donald Trump could not abide losing to a woman. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff. Jeez, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't, because who would they turn to? Who would they turn to? Dear God in heaven. Well, it's been a nutty, beyond belief experience we've all been through and going through together. And if that were to happen, it would not surprise me. It would not. I've heard other people float the idea for months, actually. If you think we're scared about Donald Trump in the White House, it could be our fear does not trump Trump's fear of being in the White House. With that mind-blowing thought, we say adieu, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.